Most of the time, the secret to breaking a bad habit isn't willpower. And sometimes it's location. I tried to quit smoking so many times and failed. But after we moved to a new apartment, boom, done. Hi, I'm Tamara, certified master health coach, personal trainer, and fitness nutritionist. I help busy people to find energy to live their lives the way they want, so their body and minds are up to speed with their dreams and goals and ambitions. In this video, I will explain how changing scenery can make changing habits easier and how to use it to your advantage. Let's get into it. When we talk about changing a behavior, oftentimes we are trying not to build something, but break, to stop doing something, to stop overeating, to stop doom scrolling, to stop skipping workouts, to stop procrastinating, to quit smoking, and so on and so forth. And habits are all about the neural pathways in our brain. When the brain recognizes a pattern, it builds a connection between neurons. And the more times we repeat the pattern, the thicker this pathway becomes. So to build a habit, we need to build a new pathway. To break a habit, we have to redirect our brain from the path that it typically uses onto a new one and allow the old one to kind of grow over. Think of it this way. When we just start working on a new behavior, the neural pathway looks like a barely visible trail in the woods. And it will take our brain a lot of effort to use it in order to get from point A to point B. While for existing habits, the pathway looks like a German autobahn. Gets from point A to point B very fast, very easy. What turns nearly invisible depression in a grass into a clear and wide trail? Traffic. The more frequently, which is important, the trail gets walked on, the wider and clearer it becomes. And the easier it gets to choose this trail over fighting through ivy and nettle. And bad habits literally ride the highway to hell in our brains. So let's see what we can do to break them. So here we have a couple of options. One of them, make a habit less attractive. Too bad we are not lab rats and can't get shocked every time we want to grab an extra cookie. But coming up with some immediate consequences if we engage in an unwanted behavior is a good idea. Unfortunately, in real life, bad consequences of our habits are either too far out, sometime in the future, may be possible they are not so 100% unavoidable, or too vague. We just don't perceive them as immediate threat like this lovely gator. Also, making a bad choice less attractive is a reasonable tactic. It's not always accessible. So another way to nudge our brain towards making a better decision is to make the desirable behavior more attractive. And rules here are the same. The reward has to have value for you, and it has to be immediate. And here, only you know which one is your dopamine gem. There's one more way of modifying behavior that I wanted to share today. The essence of it is breaking pattern. I attempted to quit smoking multiple times, but I haven't succeeded until my decision to quit smoking coincided with me moving in with my future husband. Not only he hated the smell of smoke, so he made me feel uneasy and bad when I was engaging with this behavior, making it less attractive, right? But also in the new apartment, I didn't have any connections. I didn't have any attachment for my smoking behavior in this new place. I didn't have, the place where I stored my cigarettes or the balcony that I used to go or any kind of routine that I knew would be followed by me smoking. So not a single space was associated with smoking. And it was a great opportunity, and I used it. With our trail metaphor, it may look something like this. New way of doing things is still not obvious. It is still new, but the old one just doesn't exist in this version of reality. In fact, changing the scenery is a ridiculously strong and very natural catalyst for rewiring the brain. And it's in our best interest to learn how to use it to our advantage. I am going on a 6-week-long vacation. And on one hand, I'm going to be facing challenges of saving and preserving the routines I really want to keep. And you can watch the previous week's video to learn more about that. But on the other hand, it's a wonderful opportunity to rewire those neural pathways that I'm not super happy about. For example, I have unluckily attached the experience of watching climbing competitions with my husband's to late night snacking. Ah. And while breaking this connection while I'm still here and exposed to the same triggers every night will be relatively hard, it will naturally meet much less resistance when I'm not here in the same environment. And when I come back, these pathways will already be covered with decent amount of weeds and not going to be nearly as obvious of a choice. So if you have a life transition or some big event coming, just know that it could be a solid opportunity to facilitate some changes. No big plans in foreseeable future. No worries. Even though it helps, the change doesn't have to be dramatic. You can disrupt the habitual patterns even with small tweaks. Let's talk about it. First, remove all the visual, audible, tactile triggers that initiate the habit loop, that work as a cue. Out of sight, out of mind. Move the cookie jar on a top counter so you don't see it. Second group of options is adding friction to the unwanted behavior to make it annoying and effortful, like logging out of streaming apps to reduce mindless watching. Wrap snack foods in foil with a note, like, are you still hungry or just bored? You can even unplug the TV and store the cord separately if you really want to control your TV time. Third option is to support the behavior that you want to build through leaving cues and triggers for this behavior. For example, leaving a journal or a fidget toy or a sketch pad or whatever next to your TV. So you can choose this instead of binge watching. You can practice inserting a pattern interrupt to break the autopilot sequence, just so you can make a conscious decision whether or not you want to keep going with your habit. Like learning to count to 10 before grabbing for a snack. Using an app timer for social media helped me so much. Just you're scrolling and the timer reminds you, you only have like 5 minutes left. And then you can just pause for a second and think, oh, yeah, sure, I really didn't want to scroll. I can just put it away. It's something that helps you remember what choice you want to make. And finally, you can use accountability. Bring someone or something to help you with your new behaviors. It can be a friend or a spouse, or it can be journaling or a tracking app to just build an awareness of your behaviors. Life doesn't wait for our perfect routine, but we do have power to build the routines and rhythms to take with us wherever we go. Next week, I'll take you behind the scenes and share all the dirty details of our long international trip with a child in tow, and I will honestly let you know what worked and what didn't. See you then. Bye.